Hello, this is Dimitri with UGears.us, Ukidz LLC. Today we're going to be doing another assembly video for model Stagecoach. This one I haven't had a chance to get to it for some time. Trying a little bit of new format, so I brought the camera closer to the board, so you may see less of the instructions, but hopefully it's going to be a better close-up on the model itself. So in case if there's any questions, you can see what am I doing and how am I doing things. So hopefully that format will work a little bit better than previous ones. So as you can see, we're looking at the model Stagecoach. This one was released earlier this year. Pretty nice and fairly popular model. Retails around $40. Should be well, it's kind of like intermediate model, I want to say. Probably would take a couple hours for the assembly. So I'm just opening up the box. Nothing special to see here. And then here's some boards. So let's see, open it up. We got 5 boards. So it's an intermediate model, making sure there's nothing here, because keep in mind, once in a while you get either toothpicks or rubber bands. They're going to be underneath the base of the box. So I'm going to put that box on the side. Here's our boards. We're also going to put them on the side for now, so you guys they're going to be off of the screen, but obviously I'll bring them in as I need to push something out or get something from the board. So here's the instructions. As I said, I'm going to try to keep it off the screen, possibly bring it in, but I want to see the reaction and what you guys think, needed or not needed on there. So as always, we'll start with the beginning. Obviously, if you use a tea candle, do not light it up, or any kind of candle. I have my old candle from the previous assemblies, so it's just a tea candle that's laying around the house most of the time. Then we'll go through some of the symbols. So first one is when you see the little tea candle with a toothpick and a gear, that means you do need to put lubricant on the part. It's a moving component. Exclamation mark, it is what it is. Pay attention, so make sure you follow that step exactly. And then this portion where it shows like 2 boards and 2 airs pushing from inside, it means you need to push it all the way to the end. Fan, meaning the part needs to move at that portion of the assembly or at the end. Mirror, obviously self-explanatory, mirror components. Sandpaper, that's what you need to use to sand it a little bit. Now I do have a little small piece of sandpaper. It's just 240. Or another thing you can use, I went to Harbor Freight and bought myself a set for $3 of precision files, little files that you can use also instead of the sandpaper. Obviously the last one is the to cut or break off the pieces. I got my X-Acto knife here, and just in case if you don't have X-Acto knife, you can use a little box cutter or utility knife. So also right here we got on the board number 5, there is a piece number 0, which is the helping component, helping tool for the smaller parts that you can push it out. And anytime you see the symbol add plus on the board, that's additional components, additional parts. So the engineers are trying to predict which parts may break, and they include extra ones inside the box, just to make sure you don't have to wait for them. Once again, if anything breaks during the assembly for whatever reason, just send us email with pictures of broken piece, picture where it was on the board, just so we can get the number, unless you know the number. And then also obviously the sticker from the back of the box, which should say my distributor's information on there. My company name is Ukidz LLC. In that case, I will supply the replacement part from the local warehouse, which should take about 3 to 4 days. Otherwise, I can also order it for free from manufacturer directly, but it will take about a month for the delivery. And or for the if you haven't purchased it through me, for a small fee, I can ship within the United States, expedited. Anyway, let's go ahead and start the assembly. So the first part, we're on page number 4. Step number 1, boards. I need to actually get that piece number 0 from the board. Once again, you try to push it from the back towards the front. Front, you will see cleaner lines. Back, it'll be more thicker lines. So you want the fibers to stay on the part rather than pull from it. So you go from the back towards the front. That's one of the tips. So I'll put that part on the side. Page 4, step number 1, parts 1 and 2. They're located on board number 1. So we get that, and then parts 1 and 2. 1 and 2 right here, right at the center. So you push them out and you put them together just like this. I may want to keep the instructions just in case. Next step is part number 4, right here on the top, and number 3, which is right here to the top right corner next to the cross. And then we want to use a candle wax to wax the gears all around. Gears on the part number 3. And then on this is just for it to go smoother, for the gears to go smoother through the part. So now we have little thicker and thinner portions. So you go with a large wheel from the thick side. And kind of make sure that's flush on both sides for that step. And then smaller gear number 3, you go on the thinner side, from thinner side, and all the way flush against the number 4 gear. Next step is we need 2 number 10s. They're right here on board number 1. Those, let's see, they go from both sides of the that gear assembly, and it is recommended to put a little bit of wax on the ends of it, so it's going to be easier to insert them. Once again, wax is used as the lubricant. And then we put 1 and 2 on the other side. Next step, we're number 4, piece number 9, which is right here, top right, on the right side. And then there's some kind of design on one side, and so you go with the side that doesn't have any design. And that thinner piece to the right and away from you. Now the smaller gear has to be the number 3 towards you, and then you insert these 2 into little 4 holes right here next to the round hole. So the gear is gonna go in between the large gear and then number 10. And I'm losing the parts here as I'm trying to put these together. So I'll just pre-insert it, put the large gear in because I can still do that, and then kind of try to insert the other part number 10. and then we need to push them all the way to the end. So we got these assembled. There's a little rotation in here, that's what we're looking for. Put those on the side for now. Step number 5, you need parts number 5 and 6, which were on the same little board piece that so 6 goes away from you, 5 towards you. Kind of insert them together. Also, you have a thinner portion and a thicker portion. And then let's see, we need gear number 8 and 7. So gear number 8 is right here. Looks very similar to number 4. And then number 7 is the top right corner. Same thing, wax all the gears. I just dip them into the candle wax, and then wax on number 7, same thing. Number 7 goes on the thicker side, where the little extension is slightly longer. We might want to dip it also like a little bit into the lubricant, just for it to go smoother. And then that goes, let's see, number 7 goes all the way to the end, as far as it can go. And then number 8 is on the opposite side. Same thing, as far as it can go. Now we need number 11 and 12. So 11 is the top left, and then number 12 is right here, down, kind of circular piece. So number 12 goes behind the large gear, with a little lubrication to these parts, because you will be inserting them into the board, so it'll make it easier, smoother, less friction. And then same thing on the number 11. Once again, I just dip them into the candle wax. So number 12 goes behind the large gear, number 11 with the round piece towards the left in the front. So there's only one spot where you can fit it in, that round circle, a round piece, circle hole cut out. And then this gear, we rotate the other direction, and that gear, large gear, goes into the slot right here, pretty much engaging with the number 3 that we already installed. So your number 11 piece is going to be towards you and inserting into 2 square holes here. So I'll just start with that first. Let me rotate it so you guys can see it. And then engaging the large gear. Kind of wiggle it in a little bit and make sure everything fits into the proper holes. Now when you snap components, make sure they go all the way as far in as it can possibly go. Otherwise you're might not operate properly. So, and you may want to use some kind of lever to help you push the parts. There you go. I'm using the little tool to press against number 12 to get it as far as I can into the board number 9. Alright, so now as you can see, both gears now move. And make sure they move fairly freely. So we're done with step number 8 on page number 4, moving on to page number 5, step 1. So we put that sub-assembly that we just completed on the site, and we go into it's still on sheet number 1. We need number 20s and number 19. So number 19 is going to be, let's see, bottom right here, and 20 is right at the top. So 20s, you have exclamation mark, so watch out where they go. You have a little cutout piece on the top, a little point that goes to the top and facing clockwise direction, while the number 19, you got a little thing here, rounded off, that goes to the left and kind of like away from you. So and that's the way you insert it. And then the same thing with the other number 20, same thing, this little sharp piece towards the top and kind of facing right, and also push it on the other side. Now you got to get those in as far as they can go. And now 2 pieces number 21. Those should be bottom right here, and then 1 piece number 22, and that one you can find, let's see where it's at, which one is number 22, is top right next to the number 1. So the thicker ones with the smaller slot that goes into the piece number 19, make sure it's still facing the same direction. And then 22, that's kind of like a step, so with the circular brown piece on towards the top, and then with that cutout facing towards the right side, we just insert into both 21s and snap it as far as they can go. Now we need to put a little bit of wax right here at these little corners, so as I mentioned before, just dip it in, you're good to go. So that's how sub-assembly is completed. We're coming back to our larger part sub-assembly, and that little piece that we completed goes towards the right, the little circular hole here, just like this. Then we need 2 number 14s. One is right here, and then the second piece is right here right at the center almost. We're step number 4, and then we need 1 part number 13, which is right in the middle. So wax little pieces just for the easier assembly. I'll wax both sides just to make sure that we get the coverage when we insert the top piece in there, or complete the sub-assembly, so to say. Alright, 2 number 14s, they go into the one on top of one facing the other into 4 holes right here, kind of like square holes, and kind of wiggle it in a little bit to get it in as far as possible. And then number 13, with the round portion goes away from me, I'm inserting it into this hole, the last hole on the right. So once again, as far as it can go. And then put that sub-assembly back and kind of push it on the side right now. We need 2 number 6, actually number 15, 16, 17, which are 15s right here, right at the center almost. 16, one of them, we need 2 for the step number 6, so 1 for step number 5 and then 1 for step number 6, so I might as well, they're right next to each other, so I'll push both of them out. And then number 17 is right here at the center, which is a little, looks very similar to number 15, just a little larger. So 17 goes first, 15 right behind it, 16 is on the right, and make sure that little wiggle, there's an exclamation point of it, so it kind of goes up towards you. So the number 15 goes into the little square in the back hole, and number 17 goes into the round hole. Then we lock it with number 16 on the other side. Okay, and it's the same thing with the wiggle towards the top. Doesn't say here, but it's exactly the same thing. You kind of see it on the picture. And then we need to put a little bit of a wax onto the little pointy cutouts here. So I just use my finger, put a little bit in there. And then we'll complete the sub-assembly with number 18, which can be found on the same board. Right here, right at the top, right at the center. And that one goes down. So you get little taps here on towards the top. So wiggles going down. And push it as far as it can go. You might want to use a little bit of a wax too, if it doesn't go very easily. So coming back to the larger sub-assembly, there's one hole here, and that's where number 17 should go into. Let's see if it's gonna matter. So the little tabs go towards you, and that's how you insert it into that part, into that hole. Alright. Now we're moving on to page number 6. Page number 6, we'll step number 1, we lock it up with piece number 23, which is also on board number 1. That goes on top. We already pre-waxed little things, little tabs that are mentioned here. So all we need to do is just to insert them into the corresponding holes. And let's see, need to start with something easy that I can fit. Something to start, and then slowly feed all the parts that you need. Let's see. And I'm trying to line everything up, and at the same time not to lose any pieces. Keep them in where they're supposed to be. A little bit of tough task, but totally accomplishable. Once again, just need to make sure that we get all the corresponding holes covered. Oh, that piece keeps on falling out on me. Put it back in. sure that everything is in its place when you snap those slowly together. Alright, just making sure, still rotating somewhat freely. These pieces are in there. This one's not pulling out anymore. Center pieces are all snapped in. Make sure everything, all these little tabs are flush. So you do need to apply a little bit of a pressure. Alrighty. Looks like everything is in. And then make sure these two parts are two gears are rotating. So we're step number 2, and that's where a little fan shown that make sure that these components are the rotating pieces. Now we need put this one aside for a split second, and we need step number 3. We need part number 24, which is on the bottom of tape board number 1, and then part number 25, which is going to be towards the right of it. Now here there's some exclamation points and things to do or not to do. I've seen people have done some mistakes on there, and if you put it in correctly, it's gonna go only backwards, and obviously you want the Stagecoach to go forward. So we look at the wheel number 24, and these little cutout lines should go facing clockwise direction. Once again, it shows if they're facing this way, it's counterclockwise, not gonna work. And then so you need them to face clockwise. And then a part number 25, it's the same thing. Also, these little tabs facing clockwise direction. So and you put one into the other, just like this. Now, also wax the gears on the outer portion. And then this gets inserted right into the slot in right here in between these two number 14s, as I believe. Now the way it's inserted, you have the two little thin ones facing towards the right. You go from your side, the direction of these little cutouts is clockwise, and you insert it just like this. Make sure your piece number 25 doesn't fall out. Also facing little teeth facing clockwise direction. So and you put it in. Just like this. And then it should interlock with the gear that is right here. Next step is part number 26 and 27. So 27 right here on the bottom. We have some additional ones. The original is 26 right here, and then 27 right there. So you have those spare components just in case. And then we need to wax sand the little outside cylinder of the little part number 27. Not sand it down a little bit so it's nice and smooth. And then we wax little corners on here. It's just to make sure that it goes into the assembly properly. And then you need to squeeze it a little bit to insert it into piece number 27 and slide it all the way down. And then that goes through that center slot from the bottom. Actually, let's see, from the other direction, from the bottom. Goes through that slot. Just like this. We're step number 6, just completed it, and step number 1 on page number 7. We need 2 parts number 28. They're right here, 2 of them, although the number is only next to 1. And then with the 28s, with the little tabs facing outward, and the longer pieces are inserted. You want to wax them a little bit into that center round cylinder with teeth. So once again, little tabs facing outward, and you insert it just like this. And then you want to go through both wheels into the second one, as far as it can go. Our next step is a little rubber band. So we take about 1/6 of it. So we just take a rubber band. It doesn't show how, but you just loop it around, just like this, and you tie the nut to have about 1/6 of the length of the whole rubber band. As you tie it, you can kind of adjust, and then once you get it tight, you're pretty much done. Tie it as much as you can, and then you use a little knife to cut the longer piece off. And that goes, let's see, that little 1/6, it goes as shows on step number 3. It goes through these 2 little teeth and then loops right on that sub-assembly right here with the little hook. So I'll do the hook first. Kind of wiggle the rubber band in there just to make sure it hooks. And then you go through the 2 little hooks on top. There. And then we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rubber bands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rubber bands. That's gonna go, let's see, rotate so that single key so the tabs that we just inserted, they should be parallel to the length, and then the little key 1 piece facing vertical from you. So then you insert the rubber bands in between those 2. Just like this. That's shown in step number 2, still on page number 7. And we just leave it like that. In step number 3, we already inserted that little rubber band. Now we need 2 parts number 31. And they're right here, right almost at the top. These are a little bit of delicate components, so careful pushing those out. And then you snap them together, and you sand the sides here just to get rid of the little connection points that connects them to the board. I know it shows only 2 sides, 2 eggs, but we need 2 eggs, all 4. Be my guess. So that's going to be A1, and then we need A2 which is 29 and 30, right at the top of board number 1. Same thing, snap them together and sand the sides. I'm checking, making sure I'm still recording. And that's our A2. So A1 goes into the slot right here, and then A2 goes into the slot right here. So there should be symmetrical. I would kind of hold it from the bottom so to make sure you don't break off that little piece and go as far as they can go. Just like that. Now we're next page number 8, step number 1. So with the rubber bands that we just did, we loop them around both. So make sure you don't lose the grip. And make sure they stay in between the keys here. So they're looped. Step number 2, we need part number 1. Step number 1 is part number 32. And for some reason I only have 1, 2, 3 rubber bands here, so I just noticed that it pushed 2 on the side. I want to keep all 5 in there, so it's a good check. Make sure I have all 5 rubber bands going through that assembly. All right, and then board number 1. Need part. Step number 1 is part number 32s right here, right at the middle on the right. And then one, let's see, you have a little bit of a longer it's not, doesn't look symmetrical to me. So let's see, what does it show? Let's see how it fits. Looks like with the longer portion towards the back, slightly longer, it's not much, but just tiny bit towards left. Make sure it sits fully. And then step number 2, we need part number 33, which is bottom left here, with a cutout piece towards your right side. So we need to kind of a little bit separate these 2 little pieces. I would put a little bit of wax on the tabs. Once again, the cutout portion towards the right. Separate a little bit to larger boards. Then you need to make sure that the little key goes into the slot as you push it down towards the board, and then snap the boards together just like this. All right, we're now And then obviously step number 3 shows the procedure that I just did. And then you snap them together as far as they can go. That's step number 4. And then step number 5, we need part number 27 and 41. So 27, another 27 here. And then part number 41 just down below, next to number large 24. Only need one of those. And we can use our helper tool to push it out because it's a small part. Wax the outside of number 27 so it's nice and smooth. We don't have any connection points. And then that one goes, remember our little pieces are still parallel, and then the key is vertical to you, so the slot goes up and down. You insert it like this. As far as it can go on these little pieces, you can kind of support it from the bottom. And then 41 goes right at the center to lock the key in place. We put a little bit of wax on it, on the number 27. And make sure it's everything is nice and locked and smooth and parallel. So we're done with step number 5 on page 8. Moving on to page number 9, putting that assembly on the side for a second or a minute. So we need part number 34 and 2 35s. So 2 35s on the right, and part number 34 is to the left here, almost bottom left. So with the circles towards the bottom, circular holes. Use the table as the leverage. Make sure you don't break the parts. And then part number 36, which is down on the bottom here, towards the center of the bottom on the board. That goes right in the middle, locking these things together. And if you're not completely in, it will be, here we go. Just need to wiggle a little bit, and then make sure the edges go into the little slots, locking it together. The number 36. All right, and then you need number 37 going from the bottom here. 37 right here, bottom left of the board. As far as I can go. And then we put a gear number 38 on top. There's no directionality to those little teeth, so we do need to put a little bit of a wax on it, and then that gear should go as far down as possible. And then we wax little flat pieces as shown on step number 4 on page 9. And we'll put number 39 on top. 39 right at the center here. And then as you're looking from the top, your little cutouts should face counterclockwise. So the cutout goes counterclockwise. and we put that 39 there. Now number 41, little one, helping tool to push it out, and then number 40 on top. Wax on the outside, do a little bit too much. Wax on here, on a flat portion, because you're going to have some friction going there. The key goes towards your right, insert it as far as possible, and then 41 snaps in between, perpendicular. Make sure you hold the piece 37 from the bottom so it doesn't come out. And then insert 41 as far as possible. I'm using the table once again as a leverage to push it as far as I can. Now that portion, come back to our assembly, and that goes, these little two tabs on part number 39, they go into the slots. So make sure you match the slots, and you insert it as far as they can go, just like this. We're done with page number 9. Moving on to page number 10, part number 42, which is on board number 1. Bottom right, bottom left. And that one with the slot facing downwards, you still have your assembly with the rubber bands visible on top, with a little slot that is shown right here with exclamation mark. Put it onto the end. Of the assembly. Once again, pushing as far as it can go. Need to find some leverage here. Alright, now we're good. And then the last step number 2, last parts on board number 1, are parts number 43 on the top left corner here. There's 4 of them. Just get them all out. And we're done with board number 1. Obviously there's 2 additional spare parts on here. Might want to keep it, but we're going to keep it at least until the end of the assembly. So these numbers 43, they go into 4 little holes right here on the main chassis. Thicker portions go towards the top, so there's like a little slanted diagonal portion of it, which is going to be facing away from the body. Thinner go in, thicker go facing towards the top. You may want to wax it. Didn't have to in my case. Maybe sorry about it later, but we'll see. So as far as they can go, all the way in. And step number 3 is part number 44 on sheet number 2. Let's see, sheet number 2, and we have part number, sheet number 4. I apologize. I was wondering why I don't see that part number 44. So and it goes right on top. Make sure that your circular piece goes into the hole. So match the parts you just inserted, match with the holes on part number 44. a little bit of a wiggle to get them in right. Just need to play a little bit to get those into the proper holes, and then once you get them in, then you can easily snap them together, because it comes in a little bit diagonal, so a little tough to do that. Alright, we got that board in, and another restriction is that little cylinder here to go into the right hole. And we're done with our step number 4 on page 10. So moving on, continue the assembly. I'm just checking to make sure we're still recording. We're step number 1 on page 11, part number 47 and 246. Those are on board. Looks like number 2. We're looking for 46 and 47. So there's 2 47s I see in here, and then 46 is number 3. So the 2 number 46s are on the board number. Yep, that's 45, which we'll need also. 46 right at the center, and then 47, 2 of them on board number 2, right in the center also. So our 47, 46, so little design ones go away, and then we put it into number 47. With the 3 tabs up, facing upward direction. Once again, as far as they can go. And then plate number 45 goes right on top through the these 2 tabs. Careful not to snap the pieces. And then so we put that one aside, and then 2 parts number 48, which are on board number 3, to the right, center to the right. Part number 47 again, with the cutout facing down. Kind of do the similar thing, and then 45 right on top. And that's our A4 sub-assembly. So we come back to our larger portion. A4 is gonna go, let's see, towards this hook, I guess, right here. Is the one that we just did, the assembly. The last one goes towards the right portion, and then A3 goes towards the left, which is the back. just like this. So you got little steps. Then step number 6, page 11, part number 49 and 50, which are on board number 2. $50 is to your right. And which is going to go on the front. That's facing me. So the front is this way. So it's going to be on the right side, and then 49 is on the back. So there's a little cutout on here, so that's facing towards the back. And we'll do number 50 first. There's 2 tabs that you can insert it into. And one in the center here. And then 49 goes in the back, or on the left side. Same thing, 2 tabs into the square holes. And then one little step on the bottom there. Also fits into this slot. Might have twisted it too much a little bit, but we'll see in a bit. So we're done with step number 6 on page 11. Moving on to the page number 12. We put that sub-assembly on the side. We got part number 51. We're on board number 4 and 3. So put 2 on the side, board number 3, part number 51, right in the center here. And then board number 3, we are still on it. On board number 4, parts are falling out a little bit. Number 52s, two of them right here. With a little cross section facing towards you. 52s insert into the outside holes with a little slide towards the left. Hold it by the base, because if you hold it from top, you will break those top portion. And then 53 goes, which is on board number 3 on the left, goes from the back trying to figure out what's that exclamation point for. Probably showing that the empty space has to be facing down. So that'll be my assumption for now. And that's done. Alright, that's our step number 3 completed, and then put it aside, and then step number 4 is part number 55 and 54. They're both on board number 3. 54 is right here, 55 right here on the bottom. Then you will need for the next, let's see, 55, same thing. There's a little hole. Oh, that's what it was. The exclamation point at 53 and 54. The difference is there's an extra additional holes on there. So 55 and 54 snap together. And then we need two parts number 58. They're also on sheet number 3 on the top right here. Part number 57 is all the way in the top, and 56 they're on sheet number 4 next to 52s. And then 56, so you have kind of tilted, so it's a little trapezoid, the two holes going towards the right. So, and then 56 with this slide also towards the right, that goes in the middle hole on both sides. And then number 58's facing towards the back, they go in a front hole. Once again, these are a little bit delicate, so don't press too hard. So you would just want to wiggle it a little bit to get it all the way into the hole. And that goes into the sub-assembly of 54 and 55. With corresponding holes. And once again, you want to go as far as you can. Just careful, don't break the parts. All right, and that's step number 7 is complete. Now we move on to page number 13, and then bring the sub-assembly larger portion back. This is the front with a little tab here, and that's where our latest sub-assembly goes into, towards the front. And you need to wiggle a little bit to get those in. Considering that the back goes into in between the assembly, so maybe a little bit harder to do that. But holding the little parts, make sure you don't break them off. Kind of need to snap them together. As far as they can go. As far as physically they can go, not as far as you can push it. Alright, and then the other sub-assembly out of 4 pieces goes towards the back. Same exercise. Need to get them onto the tabs. And then work them in. As they can go. And we're done with step number 3 on page number 13. Moving on. By the way, I didn't check that, but make sure that mechanism is working. Let's see, put it aside. We're on page number 14. Step number 1, board number 2. We need 2 parts number 60. They're right in the center here. They're pretty delicate. You might want to use a little helping tool just to push them out. And then number 59. Let's see, it also should be on board number 2, bottom of the doors here, 2 pieces. We'll need the other 60 later on. I'm not gonna bother them right now. So we're doing U-gear facing towards you, and the longer portion of it goes into the holes. And then part number 61. Which is right here, bottom right. Bottom one, because there's a 59 and 61, they look alike. So make sure it's 61. And that 62 fell out. And then as U-gears is facing towards you with a little hook facing away, you snap it. So the circular cutout hole will be towards the left. Put it right into the sub-assembly, and then 62 with a little cutout going towards the left. So 2 holes can be on the bottom, and that's the one that goes into the parts number 60. So snap those in as far as they can go. And then 63 also, it's the one on the right. Well, those are mirror images, so I'm not really sure if the different numbering was needed, but just in case. So 63 goes in the top corner, top hole of the door. And then we'll need to wax these little edges, tabs. Remove the excess. And put it aside. Now we need part number 64 and 65s. And so 64s are on the right here, and 65 are on the bottom. Oh, right here, right at the center actually. So we need 2 of these. Push out the whole thing. And put 2 aside, and 2, that's the ones that we're gonna use. So 64 with the tabs facing you and towards the left. Insert the 65s. As shown on the picture. One from the top and one from the bottom. And then those tabs, they go into the door. The top one, I mean the one from the step number 5, the one that was on the top, where the 65 inserted from the top, it goes from the bottom into the sub-assembly of the door. And you want to wax the tabs a little bit. And the other one goes from the top onto the bottom one. And then we need to make a mirror image with those same parts, or I should say similar parts, because they have different numbering. You got 59 instead of, actually, oh no, that was 59. So this is 61. That's one number for both my confusion, and 63 is also one number. So I just didn't get it that it was a different portion. We'll need 64s. We already got 65s and everything else. So, part number 59, 2 60s. The longer one goes into the U-gear part of the door, the bottom door. Periodically need to check on time to make sure I don't run out of memory on the phone's still on, and so on. And then mirror image, right? So we go with the cutout towards the other direction. Door facing to the right now, the little cutouts. And then 63s, the little tabs. Then 64 and 65s. So now they're facing all to the right. And we got two doors. Mirror image of each other. You probably want to put a little bit of wax. And the tabs. And we're done with step number 7 on page 14. Moving on to page number 15. Step number 1, part number 66. That's the one that fell out a little bit earlier. And then with the design facing outwards. So there's nothing, that's the exclamation point. We insert one door into the corresponding holes. You can only insert it from one direction, and then you lock it with number 67s, and 67s are also on the board number 2 in the center left corner here. May want to wax the little smaller tabs and the large tabs for easier insertion. It kind of keeps the doors locked. And then put it aside, and then part number 68, which is on the opposite end of board number 2. with the drawing facing you, you insert the door from the back, or you just turn it around and put it on the mirror side from the previous assembly that we just did. And also same thing, like it with the number 67s. It is a little fragile piece, but there's an extra one, as I can see it on the board, additional, just in case if you break one of these off. And the other door side is complete, that's an A6. Now, let's see, front towards the right side, and then A6 goes on the right side. Four holes. As far as they can go. And then A5 on the other side. I'm not sure why we couldn't check for it earlier, but you need to make sure that the door is open. A little tight in the beginning, much simpler once you get them rolling. And then the other side. Feels like I'm gonna break it off. That's what the wax was for. There you go, once you get them going, they should open and close fairly easy. Alright, so we are done with step number 6 on page number 15. Moving on to the next page. And we need to put number 71 on top of that assembly that we just completed. So 71 is on the board number 2, bottom left. And let's see, probably does not matter which way it goes in. But there are 4 corresponding holes. Just make sure you leverage against the parts that's not gonna snap. The actual board itself, the one that you're snapping to. Then step number, I missed step number 1, part number 69 and 70 is also on board number 2, right at the front here. And I jumped right into the step number 2, which is looks like not a big deal because I don't have to disassemble anything. And let's see, so this is the front, and those go into the middle holes right here. So it's like little lights, lanterns, or decoration on one side and the other. So step number 2 we just completed. Step number 3 is 2 parts number 72. That's one's bottom right on the board number 2. And then post office obviously facing down so you can read it. They go into the those tabs. And then snap it. So that's with the little curved surface towards the bottom. And then step number 4, we need parts number 74, 73, 2 of them. They're on board number 3. So 74 is right here. And then 73s are on board number 2. Closer to the top. It is recommended to put a little bit of wax on the tabs. On the smaller pieces too. And then those go, they don't, looks like they don't, they do a little bit of interaction. So the 74 goes into the 73s. Little on the sides there's like a little cutouts that it can fit into. You kind of make a rectangular piece here. And then they goes on the top. As far as they can go. And we're done with step number 5 on page number 16. Moving on to page number 17. Turn that upside down, and then now the front facing towards the left. We need part number 75, which is on board number 4, top left. 2 of them. Those are the axles. Now on we wax, I would sand it a little bit too, because there's connection points on there. If you need waxing, you probably need the smooth surface also. Oh, I mean, it is for the smooth surface. And then we need to wax closer to the tabs here. And the little edges here too, on both sides. And now that goes in the back. From one side, and then they kind of interlock, crisscross. As far as they can go. Step number 2, we need to put gear number 76 on the left side, and then 77s, 3 and 77s. They're all on board number 4. So gear number 76. a little bit of a wax. And that goes on the, let's see, right side of the wagon. So it goes on the left. There's a little 2 dots on the parts that we just inserted in 75. So your 75 needs to match, that dot needs to match to the dot here. So that's the way it goes in. So we put that gear in as far as it can go. And then a bunch of number 77s. 3 of them on one side. And 4 on the other side. Done with that, and then 75s again. There are 2 more on the right hand side on board number 4, and the same situation there. So you clean out connection points, just slightly. Then we wax little tabs, and then we wax close to the other tabs here because that's where it's rotating. And then those 2 we insert through the front axle. Also as far as they can go. And then we're lock it with the 4 77s on each side. So we get 1, 2, 3 on sheet number 4, 4. And then sheet number 5 should have 4 more. 84, 77 right here on the bottom. And those go on the front axle, all 4 on each side. And we're done with step number 4 on page number 17. Moving on. Page number 18. We put that whole assembly over to the side because we don't need it for now. And we need 10 times number 80. Take 1 large wheel, see, 2 large wheels. And we'll need 20 of number 80. They're all right here. I'm just gonna take the whole board out. Then 2 number 82s. So 82. 82. One, 2. So you just push it back and forth a little bit, work it in, work it out, and then they should fall out the parts. Excuse me. So further down into the step as I'm doing that, we do need to wax a lot just to make it easier for the assembly. So for the 80 we need to wax the top and the tab and the little fork sections, just to have them a little bit easier to slide in. Alright, so fork, let's do forks first. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then now little tabs. Those are so they can get easier insertion into the wheel. We'll need to clean off the extra lubricant, extra wax that I might have on those for a cleaner look. On the wheels, on the rims. Alright, so we're done with that, and then we do need the number 82 wax, a little bit portions on there, which we need later. Alright, and then we'll start with putting. So all the tabs should face one direction. If they don't, make sure you reinsert it correctly, whether you're facing out or in. And I'm not using the right, I'm using the large ones. So I need to take those off and use the smaller wheels first. That's with number 80s. Good thing it didn't go too far. Otherwise it would have been a lot of parts that I would need to reassemble. So once you wax them up a little bit, it's much easier to insert them. They just slide in. Make sure they're all inserted and all the way in. And you don't accidentally push them all out. Then from the back side, not where the tabs, but from the other side, that's where we insert the number 82. And then 83 goes from the other side. And make sure your little cross matches the cross on the back, so they have to match up. So you kind of spin it around a little bit to make sure that it matches the pattern. Just snap them together. This wheel number 1 and then wheel number 2 is the same exercise. Sorry about being a little bit too quiet. Little commercial break and some quiet, because we're doing the same thing as we were doing with the previous wheel, just inserting a bunch of number 82s. Number 80s into 78. 10 of them exactly, to be exact. Then we finish it off with putting number 82. So if you push these little tabs up slightly, they 82 should get in there fairly easily, and then 83 to lock the whole thing up. Once again, make sure you manage the cross. You're gonna need to rotate it until they get meshed. Kind of wiggle some of the parts in. Wiggle them until they all snap together. Alright, we'll sort of clean off a little bit of excess lubricant here. So wheel number 2 is ready. Those are A7s, 2 of A7s. And then we're doing the same thing, so I'm going to be quiet for a little bit more. We're doing very similar to number 79 and 81s. So we got a bunch of 81s. I'll pull out 83s and 82s right away too, because we'll need them, and we can put the board number 4 aside as we no longer need it. Exhausted all the parts on it. Except there's 2 extra 80, or I mean 1 extra 80 and 1 extra 81, just in case if you break them off. Alright. And now we go through the similar exercise, except now with the longer pieces. Helping tool is going to come to the rescue because there's a lot of parts. And we need to put a wax on them. Alright, so now it's the same exercise as with the previous wheels, so I'll be quiet for a little bit longer, but we're getting close, more than halfway through. Because we already got 2 wheels assembled, we got 2 more left, but we got all the parts waxed. So now it's with a larger one. So same exercise, you kinda go in under the angle, there's like a little tab. So part 82 goes from the opposite end where the tabs are at. And then 83 to lock that whole thing in place. Once again, the crosses should match. That's 8, and then one more, and we're done with the wheels. So this looks like that's the longest part of the assembly, is putting the wheels together. And everything was going very smooth and fast. Well, maybe because you're dealing with the different parts all the time, and now you gotta do a little bit of a repetition. The key is not to rush, because if you rush, that's when the errors will happen. Part. All right, clean off excess lubricant, and we get our 8 number 2 ready. So we're done with page number 18, step number 4. on the second row and step number 4 on the first row. And now we need part number 84, 85, 4 times of each, and they are all on board number 5. 85, and then 84s. Alright, we need to, let's see, wax the 85 so it goes in smoother. Now we bring our big large assembly in, and then the wheels A7, the smaller wheels, go up front with the little number 83s, I think, towards the coach on both sides. So like, think of it as a disc brake, should be on inside. And then we put 84 on the outside, and then lock it with the 85. And then 85 as far as it can go. Same thing on the other side. And then back wheel, same thing, disc on the back. I mean on the inside. And we're locked in. Now we're done with page number 19, step number 2. Moving on to page number 20. So we got our little coach here. The wheels turns, which is good. Alright, we're on step number 1, page 20. We need 2 parts, number 102, which are on board number 2, and 2 100 and 100 and 101. Two of the 102s, then 100, and 101 is on the other side. 101 is going to be away from you. And it is recommended to wax or not to wax. As long as you can push it as far as it can go. You may not need to wax. Two times the same thing. And we're done with board number 2 also. The difference between 101 and 102 is that there is a line on the outside, so You can call them by whichever name you prefer, but the line should be on the outside for the decorative purposes. Alright, so we got two of those, and then they go into the little holes right underneath the door. May want to wax it a little bit. So they go in a little bit easier. And make sure you push them all the way in. Done with that. Step number 3. 103, 105, and 104. The all on sheet number 3. 103, 104, and 105. Make sure all the decorations are on the outside when you put in these together. And we need 106 and 107. And then there's like a stamp, larger stamp is on the bottom. And I think the picture on here, these little belts should be on the outside, in my opinion, but I guess if you put them on the inside, no, it should be on the outside. And that one goes in the back in a little case. Only one way it can fit. No, so it was supposed to be on the inside. It's easily fixed because that picture is correct. I gotta take that part 107 off and redo it so it was correct. And the exclamation point is correct too, because it goes the way it goes in. You want to see those on the inside too. I mean, it's not necessary, but it kind of gives it a better look. So we're done with step number 6 on page number 20, and then page 21. need to assemble the horses. So the first one is they're all on page sheet number 5. So the first one is horse number 86. That's the one with a larger chest. And then you get a bunch of 87s. To be exactly 4. You can use the tool for those. To get those out. Tiny little parts. And then they go into 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. You know, symmetrical, like halfway through. Should go in pretty easy. And then you do number 89 and 96. Let's see, 89. It's going to be front leg. And then 96, back leg on the right side. No. Does it look correct? Yes. And then 88 and 95 in the back. 88 is the front, 95 is the rear. Make sure those are completely in. So step number, so we got one already. Step number 2 is the second horse, 92. So use the tool to push the little parts out. And then we got 94 and 91. 94 is on the front. '91 is in the back. And then 93 is the front, and 90 is the back. And we got our second horse ready. Now step 3 is right here. We need part number 97, which is a long one right here. And then part number 98, top right. And then 99 just in case, 2 of them. So 97, let's see, the little one with the little cutout here, 2 cutouts on the front. That's where piece number 98 goes, and then the flat portion goes towards the rod itself. Just push it in through the hole as far as it can go, and then we'll lock it with the 99 from the back, or whichever side you want. And then the horses go on it. So it doesn't matter which one is which. As far as they can go. So we got the horses, and we're done with step number 6 on page number 21. Moving on to the page number 22, step 1. It's the second piece, number 99. So we push the little extension here through the front piece as far as it can go, and then put a 99 right through the hole. We're done. And then 2 more suitcases. We do one, let's see, 110 on the bottom, 111 on the top, 108 and 109. That board number 5 is done. So let's see, 110 is on the base, 109. And 108. And then 111 on top. And then to lock it up, 113 is one with a stamp. And then 112 is the one without. And then the second one is on board number 3. Which we're done with also. So that's the second case. Stamp up front. And then without a stamp on the back. And then we got our second suitcase. And then we're done with page number 22, moving on to page number 23, and we put the suitcases on top. Kind of split this up a little bit, and they should fit right in. like this. And if you want to lock them up, use the rubber bands. Just like this. So there's like little hooks that you can utilize, or maybe instead of two, you just do one, because that's going to be more than enough to hold both of them in place. There you go. And rubber band will hold it down. So we're done with the assembly now. Now obviously the main part is to check if it works. So we turn the the main thing is checking to make sure everything is working, operating properly, so my lock doesn't engage. Because I put it incorrectly. So see the issue right away. What I did is that little piece that was falling out all the way in the beginning, it's the lock, and I put it back in when reassembling it incorrectly. So my goal right now is to get it out by splitting the base to chassis a little bit, making sure I'm not breaking anything. So I just need to separate them. Let me take the horses off, and that's kind of going through the troubleshooting right away. Why is it not breaking? So let me see if I can get that lock out. to make sure I don't lose the rubber band either, because that's going to be the hard one to reinstall. The main problem that there are wheels on there, so I'll need to take the wheels off the rear wheels. They're locking, well, at least one of the wheels. They're locking that piece in. Almost there. Little troubleshooting, so separating that's a little bit problematic. Because we're locked by the gears too, by the axles. To remove the axle. Which is a bit hard. There we go. Separation. Now you should be able to get that part out. Didn't pay attention right away. Pay for it at the end. Took off. Here you go. Careful not to lose the rubber band. There you go. Alright, got the rubber band back in. Now I need to get the part back in. Got it the right way, and putting everything back in the way it's supposed to be. Troubleshooting is done. So we figured out the reason why it didn't work. What was my error all the way in the beginning? Let's see, the star matching, the dot matching the dots. Good, 374s on one side. 4 on the other. This breaks towards the Alright, one more try. Hopefully this time I got it correctly. Alright. So the brakes work now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release the brake. We're good to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. But we do have Alright, so here's the way mechanism works. We push this one up, which makes the wheels lock. You wind it up, and need to put this one back in. We wind it up, and then you need to snap these two together. and then it's gonna go. So this one, lift this one up, and that one down. Okay, now snap both of them together. And one more time. And grab the string. One more try. Off the brake. Snap them together. And it's all operational. So we're done with the assembly. As you can see, there's a small error that I had to come back and fix it. Which taken partially apart the assembly. Hopefully you guys don't make the same mistake. And as I said, I didn't pay attention. I did put it in correctly the first time, but then it fell out a couple times, and that's when I made that error. Well, in either case, we have the operational unit at the end. Everything works as designed. We do have the doors open. You can remove these cases. Open it up. If there is any questions, please leave a comment on the back or on the bottom of this video, or send me email at info@ugears.us. If you break any components, also just send me email with a broken part, part number, and image of the distributor sticker on the back of the box. That will give me the option to send it from my warehouse, rather than waiting for Ukraine to send it in, which usually takes about a month. So I can provide the replacement parts right away. Once again, please visit our website. It's www.ugears.us, and hopefully you enjoyed this build also, and we'll see you with the next one. Bye.